piloting an airplane or helicopter, there's a practice they call staying ahead of the aircraft. That means always being ready for the next 2 or 3 steps of the flight plan. If you fall behind the aircraft, you could make a series of errors, and that's generally when accidents happen. The survivability of an accident usually depends on the height from which the descent begins, the condition of the aircraft in descent, and the landing area or what's contacted as the flight terminates. Welcome to another episode on the IBM Myositis YouTube channel, dedicated to people diagnosed with inclusion body myositis and their caregivers. In an effort to avoid the fall behind, some IBMers rush things, and guess what happens? They fall behind their aircraft. I'm not about to tell you how to fly faster or to slow down too much either. You just don't want to fall behind your flight. So today you've learned the pilot's secret that they once called the right stuff. If your aircraft piloting time is limited to watching, like me, repeats of Top Gun or episodes of 12 O'Clock High, we don't get to see or experience all the training and testing that a pilot undertakes before assuming the responsibility of directly flying a device through the air and returning safely to a planned area of our terra firma. Almost everything learned and practiced during pilot training leads back to one thing: crash avoidance. With IBM, we need a flight plan that also includes the same crash avoidance measures. Some of that crash avoidance includes a lot of simple basics. I remember at a myositis conference in Las Vegas years ago where I met an IBMer that was using a walker with 2 pieces of brightly colored pool noodle wrapped and taped around the front horizontal bars of his walker. He mentioned that those 2 pieces of pool noodle actually represented over $30,000 of medical costs. He told me that when he fell, he broke his nose when contacting the top bar, then his head was pushed up and back. When clearing the top bar, it was unconsciously loaded to slam his teeth on the lower horizontal bar. So, between the surgical procedures to realign his nose and oral surgeries, one fall cost him more than $30,000 plus pain, suffering, and lost time. He went on to say he was a happy IBMer crash survivor. We all read on our IBM Facebook sites about far too many sad results where broken limbs and head injuries are the result of an IBM fall. Bad IBM falls can result in temporary or chronic basophobia. Basophobia is an intense fear of falling and is understandable after enduring a broken limb or a serious IBM fall. I don't think it surprises any IBMer saying, when you acquire basophobia, more falls are likely in the short term. So, what's some of the right stuff that needs to become a trained behavior in order to eliminate IBM falls? Number 1, it's just as important for an IBMer to consider the right footwear as it is for a combat fighter pilot or race car driver. Footwear needs to be considered, as some bottom soles will catch the floor surface if the foot is not lifted high enough. There are AFOs and soft braces that will help control drop foot. Around home, many IBMers say their best success is when wearing just cotton socks, and even others claim bare feet walking is their safest bet. I personally usually only wear a pair of tight-fitting socks, except when leaving the house. Then Cindy puts on a pair of sheepskin slippers to help keep my feet warm when out and about on my power chair. Number 2, remove clutter and other unnecessary items that are near your walk routine path in your home. This may also include throw rugs that are famous for jumping up and tripping us IBMers. Number 3, consider adding some protective edge guard to any sharp corners that exist where you perform a lot of transfers. As shown in some of the previous episodes, I've added some edge guard to my fireplace hearth, some tabletop edges, and wall corner edges. A $2 pool noodle cut and split into necessary lengths and placed in strategic places could become your best friend if a fall occurs. Watch out for those downhill ramped surfaces like the ADA-approved ramps placed at most crosswalks. When walking down the ramp, your IBM quads supporting your knees are most vulnerable. Walking down the ramp a little sideways may help eliminate some knee collapse. If you are a Stage 1 or Stage 2 IBMer and can still do stairs, make sure to realize when it's time to come down stepping sideways or backwards to lessen knee collapses. And finally, but not the least important, is regular exercise we IBMers need to keep muscles not already affected by IBM strong enough to help compensate for the ones being lost. If those of you confined to sitting in your power chair or recliner, don't forget to do a lot of leg stretches to keep those Charlie horses from keeping you awake at night. Getting Charlie horse cramps are often due to letting your feet sit dormant on your power chair's footrests or letting your feet hang off the end of your recliner's leg rests. Find a place in your house where you can stretch the back of your calves by propping the front of your feet up on something and pressing down with your heels. Use your power chair's elevating seat to stretch out your feet, legs, and arms. Now that's just an abbreviated list of things to do to help avoid some nasty and sometimes expensive IBM falls. You can probably think of a dozen more, and that was the point of this episode, to get you thinking about how not to fall. Please subscribe to this channel if you are not already a subscriber, and punch that thumbs up button to show your appreciation. Make sure you consider your flight plan at all times, and make sure you're considering the right stuff, my IBM friends.